Michael.
And this is Prospects vs. Stokes podcast, where we bring you our thoughts on Prospect League baseball.
News, notes, opinions, and our favorite happenings.
Thanks for joining us for episode 4.
Okay, so we are about 2 weeks into the season now, and it's time to start looking at what's going on in the standings. We can start trying to maybe see how some of our predictions are going and see how things are shaking out for the season, because it is a short season. It's a 60-game season, 10 weeks, and so at 5 weeks, that's the first half. And so we're taking a look at the standings as of this morning, Saturday, June the 11th. We're taking a look at the standings, and what's kind of jumping out to you? Any surprises or anything that's kind of going the way that you thought it would?
Well, my surprise is Champion City's record so far. They're sitting at 3-6 with 1 win streak, and their last 10 games is 3-6. They're in last place in the Ohio River Valley Division. And they're just not going the way that they thought their season was going to go so far. They've lost to basically every team in the division of the Ohio River Valley.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to agree with you on that one. I realize I kind of started this with, okay, it's been 2 weeks. We're kind of, we're enough into the season we can start making some assessments on this kind of stuff. That is still pretty early, especially figuring the fact that coming, as we woke up this morning, Chillicothe's at the top of the division, 5-3. Okay, that's only 2.5 games difference, and some of those games have been really close in this division too. So this is still anybody's division, but I'm with you. I'm surprised that Champion City is 3-6 in this division, but I will not be surprised at all if that turns around really soon. One that I'm going to say was a bit of a surprise to me is that the Alton River Dragons are crushing it. They won like their first 6 in a row, lost 2, but then they came back and they've won 2 in a row since then. They've gotten 10 games in the Prairie Land Division in the Western Conference. They're 8-2. Can anybody in the Prairie Land Division catch them?
Well, that's a very good question. Like you said before, it is very early in the league. But, at least one team I think that can catch them is the Cape Catfish. They're doing really good in the division right now. They're second place, 5-5, only 1 loss in their streak right now. They're doing really good, and if they play really hard and, really tough, the way they've been going, I think they'll be able to catch them anytime soon.
And I got to point out before we get done with this part that my preseason pick, the Danville Dans, they're sitting at 6-4. The Wabash River Division is looking really, really tough right now. Illinois Valley is the only team in that division that has a losing record, and that's 4-5. So one good game, they're back to 500. And that Wabash River Division, we gotta look for those teams to just kind of beat each other up here pretty soon and even out some of those records. But man, they are all just tearing it up this year.
Yeah, especially Terre Haute Rex. Their past couple games, like you said, beat Chillicothe, they beat West Virginia, they beat Champion City. They came close to the Rex. They're just their hitting is really over the charts right now. Playing against the West Virginia Miners last night, scoring 13 and only letting the Miners score 2 that game. That's just crazy. And we saw what the Rex did over past 2 years. They have not been this good for a very long time.
Yeah, so especially their home fans are going to be looking for them to kind of make a run here and really give them something to cheer about as we finish up the rest of the first half. Well, we've talked a little bit about some teams that are doing well. Let's let's take a minute to take a look at a couple of players that are doing well. I want to start with this one, and this one was a surprise to me. It's a redshirt sophomore, so he's a little a little older than you might come in as a sophomore. But good pitching is such a premium in this league, and when you get a really dominant pitcher who can make it happen, game after game after game, that can really help a team go a long way. And so I've got to point out Nick Lallathin from the Chillicothe Paints. Again, by the time we woke up this morning, he's pitched in 3 games. He's gone 13 and 2/3 innings. In those 13 and 2/3, he's allowed 6 hits, 2 earned runs. He's got 5 walks, but he's got 13 strikeouts, and he's got an absolutely tiny ERA of 1.32. In a league where it's not uncommon to see teams scoring 10 runs in a night, having a 1.32 ERA is huge, especially when you get down to the point where it gets to the playoffs. And I know that's a long way away still, but when it gets to the playoffs and you've got to win one game, having a hammer like Nick Lallathin is, that is just a great way to be able to pull back and say, and have a lot of confidence going into a game, whether that's home or away.
Well, yeah, if we're talking about Ohio River Valley, my player would have to be Eddie Leon. He's has 2 home runs. He struck out 8 times. He's averaging 73, my bad. And 22 at bats, 6 runs, 6 hits. That's really good. Especially if you have only 2 home runs and 6 of those are RBIs. Yeah,
he for the Miners, this is a guy. The Miners have had a little bit of a stumble out of the gates. They're 3-5, probably not exactly where they'd want to be, but not out of things by any means. But when you got a guy like Eddie Leon, the way he's hitting, when you're scoring 6 runs and you've knocked in 6, that's a lot of offense. You are generating a lot of offense, and that is the kind of a guy that can absolutely take over a team and put him on his back and carry them all the way, carry him a long way in a short season and in playoffs. So I agree. A guy like Eddie Leon is, if he can keep these kind of numbers up, get a little hot streak going in there somewhere too. 6 hits, 4 of them are for extra bases. This is a guy that's seeing the ball really well, and when he puts the bat on the ball, it can go a long way, and he can run. He can run a long way when he does it. So that's a great pick, and I definitely look for Eddie to have a fantastic rest of the first half of the season. But there's another guy that I think we probably ought to mention in the East. And again, this is somebody from the Ohio River Valley Division playing for Johnstown. DJ Alexander is back for that team. He played last year, but dealt with some injury. Had to kind of shut it down early. But he's back now, and we actually got to see him in person. He DH'd. He's usually just a fantastic defensive outfielder. He been playing a lot lately though, and so they DH'd him to keep his bat in the lineup and give him a little chance to rest. What are you seeing out of DJ this year?
Well, he's really good in the outfield. He's quick, and for just a guy in center field, you want to definitely have him in the field when it comes to, the Paints or the Kings or the Aviators, Rex, Danville. You definitely want to, for those teams that can hit big in the outfield, you definitely want to have guys like DJ Alexander for you on your team in the outfield. And just what I see from him so far, he's just he's good at hitting. He does it all.
Yeah, it's you hear it a lot. You hear it a lot when you talk to coaches people in baseball, you cannot coach speed. There's a lot of things you can coach in this game, but speed is not one of them. And speed can do a lot of great things for you. When you've got a speedy center fielder, you can do a lot of things. You can cut down base hits in the alley. You can turn doubles into singles. You can turn possible triples into doubles. You can even turn possible doubles into outs when you've got some speed out there in center field. And speed just changes the entire game when you've got a base stealing threat on base, because that makes the defense think about so many more things. And I don't think we can bypass the fact that these are still players who are getting used to playing together. And so when you're making the defense think about a lot more things, what are they going to do? What's going to happen if he steals? Who's going to cover? What kind of a pitch is the pitcher going to throw? How is the catcher going to receive the throw and throw to second? If there are two people on, where is the throw going to go? When you start making the defense think about more of those kind of things, the more the defense is thinking about what's going on the bases, the less they're making the game simple and trying just to get outs. And so his speed game, it plays all the time in the field and at bat. DJ is just a real special player, and I'm glad we're getting to watch him again this year. All right, a little bit more news from the Prospect League this year. A new team is getting ready to be announced for 2023, and they have not announced their name yet, what their team name is going to be. But they have announced 5 finalists. This is Jackson, Tennessee, and so this is in the western part of Tennessee, kind of between Nashville and Memphis. And so, but they have announced that they have some finalists. Quentin, what do you think? We were kind of looking through this list of possible names earlier. What do you any names on that list that jump out at you that you're thinking, okay, this is a clear favorite for what this team should be called?
Well, I mean, there's 5 good names on here. And one that really stands out to me is the Hub City Hubcaps.
Yeah, there's been a couple of teasers that have come out on their Facebook page, and the first one I saw made it look like that was probably where they were going, but they've put out a couple more teasers since that lean towards some of the other names. Hub City Hubcaps. That's such an interesting name. Okay, that's could be. That could end up being the one. But me being a music fan and playing some guitar, I'm really leaning towards them being either the Jackson Blue Suedes or the Jackson Rockabillys. Both of those names, I think, are just super fun names. You can do a ton with those names. So if they pick either one of those, I'm good. I think I would lean more towards the Rockabillys. Myself, I just that's where my heart would go if I had a vote in this choice. That I think that's where I would go. But either way, however this ends up, on the 21st, they have said that they're going to be announcing what their team name is for this team that's coming into the league in 2023. And so we look forward to Jackson coming in. Seriously doubt we're going to have any Chillicothe field trips, any Chillicothe road trips to Jackson. So we may not see them unless it's a championship game. But you never know. That could happen. That could happen year one. We've had some teams come into the league and do some real damage in their first year. So we'll see what happens. Best of luck to the folks in Jackson, Tennessee, coming into the Prospect League next year. What do you think, Quentin? Anything else we want to do before we wrap up today?
Well, I don't know. I mean, you guys are just gonna have to stay tuned for episode 5.
Yeah, we've got some things in the works. We've got some guests that we want to bring in to talk about some new things coming up. We want to talk. We want to hear from you too. We want to head for our website, prospectsforsuccess.org. You've got a way to contact us there. Let us know the kind of stuff you want to hear us talk about, the kind of stuff that you would like to have on a future episode. some of the people that you might like to talk to on future episodes. We've got some of that in the works too. Hopefully we can bring you more of that as the season wears on. And if you happen to be in the Chillicothe area and you want to come to a game and say hi to us, we will be for most games, we will be on the third base side. Just ask any of the third base coaches from any of the teams. They can tell you who we are. They'll point you to us. And so we will hope you enjoy the rest of the Prospect League season. Enjoy the rest of our podcast episodes. And we will see you at the ballpark.